Well, and as earlier mentioned, Professor Julia Ojiambo joins us on set, a woman of fast. And if we're going to sit down here and talk about the fasts that she has achieved, my goodness, we probably would speak until the cows come back home. And therefore, it is a great honor to have her set the pace right here on her say, but of importance, grace the set. I mean, we are looking forward to hear from her. You can always send in your questions. We'll certainly be looking at some of them, but it's basically having a chit chat with her, just getting to know what it is that she is doing right now, but of importance, just reminiscing on the beautiful times, and academia. When it comes to the question of academia, talking to her when it comes to the question of politics and so much more in terms of making sure that the girl child is empowered. Interestingly, she tells me that she is in the business as well today of empowering the boy child. Professor, it's an honor to have you.
I'm pleased to be here.
Thank you so much for creating time.
It's a great pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
What I would want to ask, and this is a chit-chat that we had prior to this, you championed so much so for affirmative action, championed so much so for maendeleo ya wanawake. You probably continue to do that, but with a bit of a shift in terms of speaking about the space of the boy child. What changed?
Nothing has changed.
All right.
Because nothing changed from the time God created Adam and Eve.
Yes.
We remain man and woman.
That's true.
Boy and girl.
Mm-hmm.
And it should continue that way.
Mm-hmm.
So even the space where we are, we still talk of man and woman, girl and boy, and it must continue. We talk of equal opportunities, we talk of equality for both boys and girls. And then we talk of 2/3
gender role.
Not more than 2/3.
Why not? Okay, well,
Yeah. Again, that is comparative, subjective. 2/3 of who? 2/3 of boys. And then suddenly 2/3 of girls. So we're looking at what God created for us and how we can best, balance the environment, the space in which we are, so that it works for our comfort. Yeah, there was a time when we championed girl child. We still champion, and I'm still a champion of girl child. I'm still a champion of a woman empowerment. But I also am very conscious of the fact that there must be a balance and must be continuous. And that even when that imbalance came about, it must have been by mistake, because God created one woman and then one man at a time, balancing all the time. So we need to keep that balance all the time. It's true that there was a time when in this country, when I look back at the time I was going to school, there were very few girls. Because the families at that time, and that was the environment in which we were promoting the boy. To the disadvantage of the girl. So very few girls came up. And for that time, our parents just wanted the girl to be at home and assist them. Mama wanted you to be there. You are the closest friend. You are agile. You ran around. You brought firewood. You brought water. You cleaned the dishes. You had the broom. And it sufficed. Well, Dad wanted the boy to run with the goats, run with the djembe. When the enemy came, send the boy to go there, as though the girl could not go. She could also go, but it was considered that the girl probably could do it better in the house, looking after the mama. And for many other reasons. Today is different. We have come a long way. I look back and say, wow. The time I went to Butere Girls to teach us the African woman teacher there, the time I came to Alliance, and we're probably the first girls to now start the Alliance Girls High School, the real Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, Form 4. And then the time I went to the Royal Technical College in Nairobi as the first woman, that kind of thing. And I lived in that environment where there were very few women, more boys in the class than ourselves. But then that set pace for the others. When, by the time I came into limelight as a politician and started advocating the woman, fortunately, when I became a politician, I was put in the docket of the girl child, look after the women affairs. And it was, well, because it is insignificant. For me, it was great. I grabbed the opportunity and ran with it. And drummed up the girl child going to school. And they picked it up, parents picked it up. It was such an encouragement that you could also see a girl child rising to that level, becoming a minister in the government.
You know.
What caused them to get there? Education, preparation. So the parents picked it up from there.
Okay.
And today you can see
it's a whole
that
different
within a
story.
very short space of time, the girl child has overtaken the boy. Now again, it's a complaint. What do we do?
Valid
Boy
question.
child must not be left behind.
That's true.
We're trying to balance. We're not saying that it's been wrong to drum up, even today, because we are not even equal. Yeah, we are
still
equal
not
in the class. We are equal in numbers. We are agile and we are everywhere. But when it comes to sharing opportunities, we have not quite caught up, simply because in training, in skills development, maybe we have not quite, all of us, come to that level of equality with the boy child. They may look fewer, but they are better in some areas. More, not better, more in numbers. And brain-wise, no. We don't talk about that anymore. A girl child has caught up. Give her engineering, she will do it. Give her a plane, she'll pilot it. Give her the sea, she will navigate. Give her the kitchen, she will do it just as good. But the boys are also doing the same. So now there's nothing like for the boys and nothing for the girls. Opportunities are available. And that's what we have emphasized during all this time in our education curriculum, in our training and skills, and also us as elders now passing on the baton. We pass to the girls as well as we pass to the boys.
Briefly, back to your history now that you have mentioned it, and without delving much into it, would you consider yourself a child of privilege, you know, having been born in this African missionary home, different from probably any other girl?
No. I think I was never privileged at any stage. I was born to a very rural family, a very considerably at this, maybe when you look at it, poor family. They would have said so. But rich in many other things, rich in tradition of their own. And there were spiritual leaders, so they were very rich in that. Maybe at that time that was not important, because then they would be classed as poor in a tradition and therefore not important. So that is also an area to consider. Was it a privilege to be born of a Christian family?
Maybe yes.
Maybe not. Those are the others looked at it as a disadvantage. These girls who eat chicken, misplaced. They eat squirrels, no good. They don't remove their lower teeth, not good for wives, that kind of thing. So, you know, we had disadvantages. We had difficulties because with that background, you could not fit in the society. They looked at you as misplaced. And yet we had to struggle to accommodate both. You accommodated them and moved on with the evolving society, that we needed to go to school, we needed to excel at school, we looked around and saw what was happening. Our teachers were all European, and why were they teaching us? So we also wondered, and we said, can we get ourselves to teach?
To teaching, to being teachers?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
So we struggled to catch up with them and become teachers so that we can also be called teachers in our own society. That was a challenge. It was not an easy one. And as I have said, even in that society where we were, the boys were more than us.
Right.
They had gone ahead and been trained in various skills they have achieved in schools. We had not gotten there. So the few of us who are now struggling to show up and even copy and replace the white girls who are here teaching us were very few in numbers.
Right.
And so now, to get others to join you was a challenge.
Yeah.
You moved on and then you looked back. There was nobody following you. You were misplaced.
Misplaced.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that was a challenge. It meant that you had to adjust yourself to the maybe the traditions, the habits of these people. And you don't want to go there. You look back and say, now, if they see me looking like a white Australian girl, a British girl, I don't know, American girl, what they think
What
of
do
me?
they think of me?
Yeah.
You're worried, are you going to get a husband? Are you going to be accepted in society?
And of
all
course,
that?
the men looked at you and said, misplaced. That one, we are nakula kuku.
Hata kusumbua.
Tukusumbua. Yeah. And there was a time when now you start to dress up like them. And I say, we are
in trousers now.
You could not wear trousers during our days. It was not in our vocabulary anyway.
Completely.
Completely not there. So you'll be looked at as not worth being considered for a housewife or something, for worth paying cows for.
Thankfully, you are paid for.
And you know your parents are waiting for cows. You're the bank.
You know?
Yeah.
And this one is even a plus because they have gone to school and therefore the cows must be more than...
More cows.
You know, more than this.
And yet there's so much disadvantage in what stages they have come through. So people looked at you suspiciously and there you are, very well prepared. It's not easy.
Right.
Then of course there's a lot of competition. And the background, itself did not offer very much for you to be able to compete with the boys. The boys had good schools, and you are coming from a school where there's no laboratory, and you're prepared to be a scientist.
A scientist.
Yes.
My goodness.
And you imagine how strong the wave was against us. But we struggled.
Right.
You had to pass mathematics. You had to do physics. You had to do chemistry against that background. For me, it was hard, but I was determined.
And you got married to a fellow scientist.
And he was a scientist.
Yeah. You have witnessed the different phases of education up until date. What would you make of it in the country? Perhaps during your times there was more substance compared to what it is that we have today, or just how different?
Yeah, but today you're talking about the digital space.
Technology.
Technology.
Right.
We didn't have that. When I finished my secondary school and opted, and it was my desire to be a scientist, having come from school where there was limited space of science. At Alliance Girls at that time, we had to walk across the men's school, to the boys' school, to learn, to use their laboratories, to do a little bit of biology, physics, and all that. And of course, when every moment we got, we utilized it to the maximum. To the maximum.
Yeah.
By the time I finished my O-level at Alliance, I was considered a scientist. I was actually posted by the Ministry of Education to Kamasinga Boys Secondary School.
As a tutor.
To teach
the
boys
there.
Agriculture. And that meant I had to do a lot of biological, experimental, and with a little background I had to teach.
Right.
I had to teach them titration. I had to teach them osmosis. And those were big terminologies at that time.
At that time.
Yes, and translate them into practical skills in the field. Took the boys out, showed them how the root adjusted to all those activities. Even with that little space that we had,
Did you ever meet any of your students at some point and you saw them that they have done tremendously well in life, and you could easily say that this is a product of my own hands?
I've met them all throughout.
Wow.
And they've been very, very appreciative. They, of course, a lot of them have left me. They are not there. But they have been ministers. They have been scientists. They have been medical doctors. They are professors. And name them. They have been politicians from that experience.
Okay.
And we have grown up together. We have worked together. They have inspired me every time I look back and say, so it was not all for nothing.
In vain, It's a beautiful thing to say. I'm glad that you speak about politics. You have been a politician yourself, and I mean, the world knows that. Politics then, politics now. Perhaps I should start by appreciating the likes of Nyiva Mwendewa. I should begin by appreciating Grace Onyango. May her soul rest in eternal peace, passed on just the other day. When was the last time you spoke to Nyiva?
Nyiva is my colleague.
Yeah?
Grace Onyango was Grace was our mentor.
Yeah.
And she inspired me. I left her as a mayor of Kisumu, first mayor elected. And that was a big plus. We were all smiles when she won. And who would have believed that a woman become a mayor? Big position. Yeah. Then I left this country to go to Harvard, which was another challenge. And a big challenge that I took.
The first of its kind.
Yes, the hardest challenge that I ever took on in my education career. But when I was there, difficult as it was, I had my mind at home. I was missing home quite a lot because, again, I found myself alone there amongst men, amongst different skin color. Right. And then I would look back, where is home? Who did I live there? Yeah. Where are my colleagues? Where are the other women who have come up? Yeah. I'm excelling in sciences. I'm out here in the School of Public Health, doing big science at Harvard. But Grace is even better than myself. Why didn't I
She's
go
home and doing service to the
people. Then suddenly I hear she's gone to Parliament.
Oh.
I said to myself, now with me, with my education at Harvard, what am I going to do with it? Yeah. Grace is doing better than myself because she's showing the women, my colleagues, the way. How many can I show with my sciences? But I was also preparing. Yeah. I was acquiring knowledge. I was getting exposed. I was seeing how the women who are also operating in a different space. Yeah. And we could also operate in those different spaces. We needed to be there. We needed to prepare ourselves. I listened to the talks of women engineers, of women pilots, of women whatever. Doctors making tremendous successes in research, of the challenges of public health, and out here, what I had left behind, my colleagues, women dying in childbirth, children dying at a very tender age, and all these things, malnutrition, name it. And those were challenges.
Was it so clear to you that you probably would march into politics? Did it have to take politics for you to be able to come and address these concerns for the children? Because there's a scholar bit
it was not politics. I did not go into politics.
At all?
I went to apply my knowledge.
Yes.
I went to save my colleagues, the women, from suffering. Malnutrition and
child mortality
and child
all these
mortality.
Cases.
Yeah. Family planning. Lack of opportunities to express themselves. Find a level to also talk. Right. But from an informed background. So the informed background meant they had to go to school. Yeah. They have to train. They had to be exposed. They had to be exposed to what the men at that time were being exposed to. For them to be able to talk at the
same level.
Same level.
Yeah.
With information. Information is power. Information is knowledge. Right. So we needed to also impart knowledge, impart skills, impart capacity. It was not just emancipation. It was being able to fit in a society and work with your colleagues at par, understand them. We needed to also supply the men who had gone ahead and been educated. It was not a mistake. That was their time. But we also needed to give them partners. Yes, spouses who were educated.
That are worth,
So the girls had to go to school.
That's true.
Otherwise, there's no point saying, girls, go ahead and get married to boys who are educated. No, it was not going to work.
There's a tendency of us having excuses. You know, back then, now, there were excuses that were even made on behalf of the girls who now came together to say that we are actually capable of handling some of these things. But in the process, there's so much in the plate of a woman. Just trying to balance this for you and for many other women who probably would be looking at this as though it's a barrier.
Yeah. There's a lot, and it has been at every stage, a lot for a woman to balance, a lot for the family to support the woman to be able to balance, a lot for both the family, boy and girl, to learn together, to share. And every time, environment is changing, space is changing, approaches to this are changing, so one has to decide, what am I living for? What's the purpose? And plan with the purpose, so that you know what you can achieve.
And the universe will always conspire to land you there.
Yeah.
Most of the times.
Correct.
Speak of your husband, and yes, of course, may his soul rest in eternal peace. The kids are doing fine and all that. What kind of mother were you, or are you? Tough one?
No. Unfortunately not.
Oh, yeah?
But decisive.
We're taking this direction to see yumba. We must attain.
Uchukue hiyo direction mwenyewe.
Oho, wewe mwenyewe.
Wewe mwenyewe. I do not decide for them.
Right.
Fortunately, that's, I thank God for it. From the word go. And that's what my husband taught me. He was a scientist, a physician. And I say we started at PA as scientists, and we looked at life, and we agreed together we'll walk the same path.
Right.
And we seemed to have the same mind. So from the day the baby was born, he was there when the baby was born. And you look at the little one and say, now you are my child. You now can breathe on your own. Right. You're not going to suckle your mother again.
Wow.
Life is tough, and you take it yourself. Decided to be a good girl, a good boy, or
you perish.
You
were told there's going to be something like that.
So fortunately, they have managed in life. They've been very independent, but guided. I guide them from when they are not able to do it themselves.
Right.
I think it's good that they have good nutrition, good care, confidence built in them. And you let them, they be confident. So my kids are confident on their own.
Beautiful.
Fortunately, they don't ask for anybody to favor them. Fortunately, they have never had anybody to favor them. They apply for the jobs when they need.
And
they go and compete.
There's nothing like, oh, this is the daughter or the son.
Unfortunately, I have never had those favors.
You know?
They apply for it, they go for an interview, they compete, they win. They are offered a job.
Beautiful.
And stay in it because they are competent. Otherwise, nothing.
Wow, nice. It would be unfair if we're going to come out of this place without talking about nutrition. What do you make of the nutritional state of the country of Africa? It's been quite a journey. What are you doing yourself as of now in terms of, that line? And now that we all know that you retired from politics, even though actively or from the background on the Labour Party.
Like I told you, it's always good to look back.
Yeah.
I look at the good model. I say that we need to present for people to accept. When I was doing my education, as I said, I came from the mind of a scientist. I picked on nutrition sciences, food science.
Right.
Yeah, and that's what took me to Harvard to learn more about that.
Yes.
There are lots of things we have seen happen. Before I went, this country was, the whole of East Africa, I was suffering from what we called kwashiorkor. I don't know whether that's still in. People talk about it anymore.
Not as much.
They don't even,
we used
the
to
current
that.
generation don't remember what kwashiorkor was.
Yeah.
Children develop big, round bellies,
yes.
brown skin, thinning hair, skin burnt off, that kind of thing. Protein, calorie malnutrition. That we have battled with. But that was the reason why I was deeply interested in research and also in the welfare of parents.
Right.
Because I saw infants die, mothers die in child labor, mothers die lactating, and all those things happening. And yet there was knowledge that if they were taken care of, they would not die from those kind of diseases.
Yeah.
So when I came back from Harvard and started teaching at the University of Nairobi, my area of interest was nutrition.
Yeah.
And I went straight into starting space in university education, where more students could apply the kind of knowledge I had.
Yeah.
So I started a degree, Bachelor of Science degrees in nutrition.
Wow.
At that time, it was not acceptable. And I was blasted for it. It was unacceptable. But I tenaciously struggled to get a few people to understand. Slowly, it has taken root. When I look back, I admire.
Yeah,
I say, I'm glad I went through the pain, but the message got back.
Yeah.
I was the only one at that moment. Today, nutrition is on the lips of everybody.
I agree.
And I thank God for that.
You go to universities, you see home economics, you see
every university today has got a department of nutrition. Every scientist learns about nutrition. But more importantly, the family and individuals have learned that nutrition is important. So as an assistant minister, when I was also in charge of basic education,
yeah.
I had the opportunity to, I had a constituency because I was elected.
Yes, yes, yes.
And I continued
that was the system.
I continued with my interest in nutrition. So I started the milk goat project. And I look around and see these goats being milked, parading in ASK show grounds. And I say thank you.
Beautiful.
Because as early as 1976, I was very interested in rural development. And I won a United Nations medal in rural development and, women advancement.
Beautiful.
I used that opportunity to sell that gold medal I got to get money and buy milk goats from France, from Egypt, from Israel, Toggenburgs, Anglo-Nubians, and Bedouin goat, and bring them to Kenya.
Right.
So we started multiplying, and this is the goats we see today. And you see, that was meant to help eliminate malnutrition.
Yeah.
A small animal that a family could rear and which could produce milk which is wholesome for nourishing the child's health and the mother.
Beautiful time.
But later on in life, that didn't end there.
Yeah.
As a teacher, I've gone on to practice nutrition, to teach nutrition, to research in nutrition, to develop nutrition profession.
Yeah.
And then before I finished it all, when I was in Parliament, I put a bill which went through, and we set up the Kenya Nutrition and Dietitian Institute that professionalizes nutritionists. And you find nutritionists today working alongside doctors with certificates that qualifies them to do that. They can practice in Kenya, they can practice in America, they can practice anywhere in the world. So those are just stages of that professionalization of the profession of nutrition.
Okay.
But more importantly is the spread of that knowledge to schools, into curriculum, to institutions that deal with families, churches, community groups, hospitals, farmers, food preparation institutes, and everywhere.
Wow.
That knowledge should be tucked in, because nutrition is not just about cooking and eating.
Yeah.
It's more than that.
It's beyond that.
And what is beyond that? In the soil in which the food grows, in the store where food is kept, in the kitchen where food is cooked, on the board where food is chopped, in the way it is presented, in all these aspects. But more importantly, beyond that, when it goes into the mouth, where does it go?
Yeah. Does it serve the purpose?
Yeah.
Okay.
Does it serve purposes? That's where nutrition starts now.
Okay.
Right.
It's a whole fully fledged conversation. I'm sure someday we're going to have a session on nutrition purely because we must tap into this knowledge. We're almost closing. So briefly, as we come to a close, what would you tell the parliamentarians today? What would you tell the cabinet secretaries and the PSs today? What would you tell the government today in terms of making the country better? Are we on the right trajectory as we come to a close?
Of course we are, otherwise we will not be here today.
Oh, beautiful thing. At least there's some element of hope we get.
Oh, for me, there's a lot of hope.
Good.
Because, every time, every space has got its own ups and downs.
Yeah.
But I'm so positive. I never want to be swayed into believing that things are going down and therefore go down with it. There must be hope. Who are we sending the country down to? What's my participation in the whole?
Yes.
If I'm not able, if I see this wrong, and I'm not able, and I know the answer, and I'm not able to help, to apply the answer to the wrong, to correct, then I don't deserve to be here.
That's true. And
so most of the time, we blame the third person.
Yeah.
And yet collectively, we are capable of putting our minds together and putting it right.
Right.
So I just want to say that to all, this is our country. If it goes down, we all go down.
We all go down.
The best is that we struggle to keep it going. And what can we do together? With all this knowledge that we have, each one of us has got a competence that we can put together. The emphasis should be on us to come together cohesively and agree that we each have a little to contribute.
Let's close. Is there something that you're doing in terms of projects or anything? Sasa mama, labda tuseme umetulia tu sasa.
Yeah, I'm retired but not tired.
Yes. So what is going on? The other time you're telling me you're headed to this Madaraka Day.
I'm very active with the National Fund for Disabled of Kenya.
Okay.
And that's a project we started in 1980 when I was in the ministry first as a minister for social services. I was responsible for looking after vulnerables. And I developed that interest. That's my background. My parents had taught me to do that.
Okay.
And then as basic education assistant minister, I picked up on special education.
Yeah.
And created an environment for the coming into being of the Kenya Institute of Education. So now we had the rehabilitation program with the social services, and we had this education program with the basic education. That has grown to today big national coverage everywhere, where we offer in schools integrated programs, special units, and opportunities are just enormous for people with disability now to find space to learn skills, to practice, to be able to become self-sufficient. I go out there not to teach. I'm in service area.
Wow.
I go to provide where we can with the National Fund for Disabled of Kenya opportunities to increase space in classroom space, for instance, or housing, or physiotherapy, or trade tools. For those who are trained and have skills, they can go and also work. We provide them.
Beautiful.
That's what I do. Much.
We appreciate you. Thank you so, so much. Yes. Retired but not tired. And, you know, making sure that you're out there to change the lives of people. Like Professor says, it is a collective responsibility in whatever capacity. Make sure that you put your hands towards making sure that the situation is better than you found it. Therefore, then we're going to guarantee ourselves a beautiful, beautiful country. Professor Julia Ojiambo, thank you so much once again for creating time to speak to us on Her Say. We are looking forward to more and more engagement in different other quarters. We have to close it at this very point as well. Thank you so much for the immense feedback. Because of time, we must close it. But we look forward to see you again next week on Her Say. Do have yourself a lovely, lovely night ahead. Bye-bye. My name is...